Okay then, a new CTGB update just dropped, and it comes with a big change for bagging. This is the result of an oversight in a new feature that was introduced in the most recent code update. The feature being the position tracker bug fixing mechanic that being added. It's basically something that will fix PTBs for runners and anyone who's just driving forward normally in the game. Unfortunately, Bean didn't take into account that baggers exist, and our goal in competitive is to drive backwards to get the shock. So it doesn't really function for us, and in some ways this is actually abusable by quite a strong margin. So right now I'm just letting some footage play. This is the new exploit that was found. It's essentially the fact that reverse ultras now keep track of positions properly if you do them on your first lap of bagging, and there'll be no position tracker bugs, anything like that. So what you just saw was a reverse ultra shortcut. So in the most basic terms, the reverse ultra shortcut, it comes from a fail-safe the game has, which also got abused. It's essentially skipping more than 5% of the track at the end and entering to the finish line checkpoint, which is key checkpoint 0. The game triggers this failsafe that it has, and it essentially subtracts the lap you've just driven for whatever reason, I don't know. But as you can see here, we're on lap 0, as you can tell by the start of where it says race. That first number is what lap you're on. So we're on lap 0 at the minute, and we're going slowly down into the percentage. And we're going to leave the checkpoint here at 958, which is 95.8%. And then we're going to go up, skip 5% of the track, and then end up back in the key checkpoint 0. And when we clip back into it, you can see that instead of going back up to lap 1, it's acted as if we've just driven around the entirety of lap 0 backwards instead of actually going up to lap 1. So it should go up to lap 1, but then it subtracts a lap, and now we're back down at lap 0, and before you know it, hey look, and now we're in lap -0, which brings us into the negatives, and oh boy did the negatives have issues. So what's really going on here? Well, the new code update introduces the fix for position tracker bugs. That it's sort of weird because the position tracker bugs, they happen because of different situations going on in different people's games. The main thing here, at least with these reverse ultra shortcuts, is that when they used to happen in vanilla game online, it essentially, the failsafe only kicks in on the person's console who's doing the glitch. As for everyone else, that failsafe isn't happening, so on everyone else's game, it's like the lap never got subtracted for that one person. For that one guy, the lap never got subtracted. So what ends up happening is their game thinks, hey, this guy's in 9th, he's not doing the track, he's just on the same lap still, what is this guy doing? But now, because of this update, Bean's written a code that basically always sends your position tracking data, your race percentage, to everyone else in their Wii's. So what happens is, when you do this now, it subtracts your lap, and even though in other people's games it hasn't subtracted the lap yet, it's still going to send your new race percentage data over to the other consoles and overwrite what it should be on their game. And this is only active between checkpoints 1 till the end of the lap 0. So anywhere on lap 0 that isn't key checkpoint 0, this code will be active. So that's why you might have noticed in some of these clips, I'm driving to checkpoint 1 after doing every reverse ultra shortcut. We'll go through that again, very quick. So as you can see, we're leaving checkpoints at... Basically, we're leaving checkpoints at about 82%. Then we go around, come back out here, and we've entered a new lap because we skipped 5% of the track. Now, because the data only ever gets sent when you're in checkpoint 1 or higher for lap 0 specifically, you need to enter checkpoint 1 so that data gets sent to someone so there's no position tracker bugs happening, everything's keeping up to date. You will be in 10th if the other person doesn't do this ultra shortcut, and their game will treat it as such. Their game will say, hey, I'm in 9th because that guy just did an ultra reverse shortcut. So these work online, even with the new friend room feature for ultras work online. Even if that's disabled, these still work. These work in CT worldwides. They don't work in RT worldwides, but they do work in RT rooms. You can turn off this new feature by turning off room encryption, and that's the only way. Enjoy, reg players. Enjoy. As for custom track players, of course, there are still a handful of tracks with these reverse shortcuts, of course. It does seem like, with the regs at least, it's just Coconut Mall and it's just Rumble Volcano. Mushroom Coach could definitely have something, and I haven't really looked into many of the others, but I think it's mostly just going to be Mall and Volcano. And there you go, 18 seconds just to get into my next bagging lap. But when you're playing online, because this code is only active through just after the start of lap 0 all the way up until lap 10, the negative laps, anything before lap 0, or for baggers, anything after they've driven through lap 0 backwards, this code no longer active, and position tracker bugs go back to their old ways of being a pain and getting things wrong. So what ends up happening is, if you decide, hey, I'm gonna do this reverse ultra shortcut multiple times, the reverse ultra shortcut is just gonna start causing position tracker bugs, and it's actually gonna put the other bagger into 10th. So you don't want to do that. Don't give them that luxury. That's always been a thing we can do up until, you know, we've always been able to do that, but now because of this code update, we can do reverse ultra shortcuts without even causing a position tracker bug if we do it on lap 0. And since lap 0 is the first lap of bagging for many, we can just do stuff like this where we go backwards for a bit, go forwards again, and then hey look, jump off, yippee, we've done the whole lap. Like, yeah. Enter enter checkpoint 1, then go back out. You might as well get the IM set on that one, it's very simple. There's gonna be more custom tracks of this. I've been doing a bit of research on them today, and I found quite a few different reverse ultras for custom tracks. Some of them are just slower than bagging normally. This one saves a lot of time, but the big issue with it is, if you haven't gotten to checkpoint 1 before 30 seconds, you're not going to update the other person's position and time, and they're going to be in 10th for a while.